To live long, we must keep the body nourished in ways that support movement, not just survival. These were the words of Dr. Shigaki Hinohara, a Japanese physician who lived to be 105. He didn't just study longevity, he lived it, step by step, meal by meal, with quiet, enduring care. And when he spoke of nourishment, he wasn't talking about calories or weight loss. He was talking about what keeps us moving, about the kind of food that helps you get up from a chair without needing to hold both arms, the kind that lets you walk to the garden without resting halfway, the kind that keeps your independence alive. But here's something no one tells us. Many older adults feel weaker even though they're eating well. They have their meals on time. They don't skip breakfast. They eat fruits and vegetables. And yet the body tires faster. The legs don't respond like they used to. The hands feel heavier. And inside, a quiet fear begins to grow. Am I missing something? Is my strength fading for good? You are not alone. This is more common than it seems. After the age of 60, the body changes. Subtly, silently. It begins to lose muscle mass in a process called sarcopenia. And unless we feed it the right building blocks, food alone won't be enough. You might be full, but still undernourished. You might eat 3 times a day, but still be losing strength, inch by inch. That's why today we're going to talk about something simple, powerful, and almost forgotten. Agricultural superfoods. These are not powders sold in glossy jars. They're not supplements advertised on late-night TV. They are real foods, grown from the soil, often humble, often overlooked. Foods that don't promise miracles but offer quiet strength. Foods that don't sparkle, but restore. Foods that your grandparents probably knew, and that the oldest people in the world still eat every single day. In the blue zones, those rare places where people live long and strong into their 90s and beyond, elders eat the same foundational foods for decades. Beans, seeds, greens, grains. Simple, real ingredients that fuel their bodies without inflammation, support their muscles without stress, and nourish their vitality without needing a long list of pills. So today we'll explore 7 of these powerful agricultural foods, what they can do for your aging muscles, how to include them in your routine, and what quiet mistakes might be slowing you down. We'll talk about iron that doesn't come from steak, about protein that doesn't come in a bottle, about traditions that were never broken, just forgotten. You don't need to change your whole diet. You don't need to follow a trend. You just need to remember and begin again. Let's start. Some foods don't raise their voice. They don't sit in the spotlight. They don't promise transformations, but they build quietly, patiently, and over time, they give back what the body thought it had lost. Lentils are one of those foods. For many people past 60, the word protein immediately brings to mind meat, a steak, a chicken breast, a boiled egg. But what if your body, aging gently and asking for relief, actually responded better to something softer, something your kidneys don't need to work so hard to process? Lentils offer precisely that. In every small, earthy serving, you'll find essential amino acids, the very building blocks your muscles crave, along with iron and fiber. And together, they nourish not just your arms and legs, but your digestion, your blood, your entire rhythm of life. And yet, they're overlooked. Many elders still see plant protein as somehow less than, but that's only because no one ever told them the truth. The truth is that lentils are complete, balanced, and gentle. They don't inflame the joints. They don't spike blood sugar. They don't tire the organs. They arrive with humility, and they stay. In rural villages across India, where modern supplements are rare and pharmacy visits even rarer, elders eat dal, a warm, spiced lentil dish, almost every day. They walk the fields. They carry bundles of herbs. They laugh with the ease of someone whose body hasn't betrayed them. And they do this not because they've discovered something new, but because they've honored something old. If your lunch or dinner could make you stronger without making you feel heavy, would you give it a place on your plate? Half a cup of lentils, just that. Maybe with a splash of lemon or a few bell peppers on the side, both rich in vitamin C, which helps your body absorb the iron better. No fanfare, no fuss, just nourishment. One meal at a time, one muscle at a time. Lentils don't shout. They build quietly, meal after meal, muscle by muscle. And if you listen carefully, you might feel them working, not in a sudden burst, but in the ease with which you rise from a chair, the steadiness in your steps, the comfort in your own skin. There are parts of the body that quietly begin to fade before anyone notices. The calves that cramp at night, the hands that tremble slightly when reaching for a cup, the legs that feel a second slower when standing up. And so often, these soft declines are not a matter of age, but of minerals missing in the diet. Magnesium, zinc, iron. Not glamorous, not talked about much. But without them, the body loses its balance, and recovery takes longer than it should. Pumpkin seeds, small and unpretentious, hold the key to these hidden needs. They carry a trio of gifts: natural protein, absorbable iron, and a rich concentration of minerals that speak directly to tired muscles and overworked nerves. A handful can help restore what weeks of fatigue have taken away. And still, most people pass them by on the shelf, not realizing what they hold in their hands. In some Native American cultures, pumpkin seeds were more than food. They were a source of strength and protection. Elders respected them for their ability to sustain energy, to calm the nerves, and to keep the body whole. Especially for men over 60, they were seen as allies in maintaining stamina, vitality, and mental sharpness well into old age. This wasn't marketing. It was lived experience repeated over generations. They're not complicated to use. A simple handful, lightly toasted in a pan with turmeric, can turn a bowl of soup or a plate of vegetables into something quietly restorative. No need for perfection, just consistency, perhaps 2 or 3 times a week, enough to slowly refill what the body has been pouring out. Because muscles don't just need protein, they need support. They need minerals that help them contract, relax, and rebuild. Without these, no amount of calories or exercise can bring back true strength. Pumpkin seeds are like silent guardians. They settle into the places where things have started to fray, and they repair. Not in dramatic ways, but in the simple experience of walking a bit longer, standing a bit straighter, resting without waking up in discomfort. The strength they offer isn't loud, but it lasts. There's a certain kind of tiredness that isn't fixed by sleep. It comes in waves after meals, a heaviness behind the eyes, a slump in the shoulders, a quiet fading of will. Many older adults feel this and blame it on age, but often the cause is something much simpler: blood sugar that rises too fast, then crashes even faster. When this happens, muscles lose their rhythm, energy becomes unreliable, and over time, strength begins to slip away. Oats, humble and grounding, offer a way back to stability, not just because they fill the stomach, but because they nourish gently, giving the body slow, even energy instead of sudden spikes and falls. The kind of energy that supports muscle repair, supports memory, and supports mood. Inside oats is a special kind of fiber called beta-glucan. It slows digestion, feeds the gut, and keeps blood sugar balanced. Especially important after 60, when insulin sensitivity often declines. And unlike processed breakfast foods, which give a burst and then take it away, oats stay with you. They carry you through the morning. They let your body move without shaking. In parts of Scandinavia, oats have been a breakfast ritual for centuries. Steel cut, simmered slowly, served with seeds, nuts, maybe a touch of fruit. The elders who eat this don't do so out of theory. They do so because it works, because it feels right, because it supports digestion, strength, and calm all in one bowl. It doesn't have to be every day. But even twice a week, oats can bring back that quiet fire, that internal warmth that helps muscles stay strong without pushing the body too hard. Oats are the wood that keeps the fire burning, gentle, warm, constant. They don't demand energy. They offer it, steadily, reliably, like a friend who walks beside you without rush. And when your day begins with that kind of support, everything that follows becomes just a little easier. Before we continue, let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered if the way you start your day, that first bite, that first breath, might be shaping your strength far more than you thought? If that thought stirs something in you, take a moment to check the pinned comment below. I left something there that speaks directly to this quiet shift in the body after 60, something that might help you see your meals in a new light. Now let's move on to a leafy ally that's likely already in your kitchen, but perhaps not yet in your muscle toolbox. There are things we plant that take time to grow, and there are things we eat that take time to heal us. Spinach and other deep green leaves like mustard greens, chard, and amaranth belong to this quiet family. They don't offer comfort in sweetness. They don't offer pleasure in crunch. What they offer is repair. Slow, steady, essential. The kind of repair that aging muscles depend on, especially when they are asked to keep carrying a body that has lived through decades. What many people don't realize is that muscle loss after 60, what science calls sarcopenia, is not just a matter of eating more protein. Muscles are more than meat. They are organs of movement, blood flow, coordination, and recovery. And what they truly need goes beyond grams of protein. They need nourishment that speaks the language of circulation, mineral balance, and cellular renewal. That's where dark leafy greens come in. When you feel your legs dragging during a walk, or when you stand up and your heart races a little too fast, it may not be weakness. It may be that your muscles and blood vessels are no longer receiving what they need to work in harmony. Spinach contains natural nitrates, not the harmful kind used in processed meats, but plant-based compounds that help open the vessels and improve the flow of blood to every corner of the body. And with that flow comes oxygen, nutrients, and the ability to move again without pain. Magnesium, potassium, folate. These are names that rarely appear in the conversations around aging, but they are the quiet builders of muscle and protectors of nerves. Without magnesium, the body cramps and twitches. Without potassium, the muscles weaken and tire quickly. Without folate, even the process of making new cells begins to slow. All of these are abundant in spinach and its cousins, and yet so many plates remain empty of these gifts, replaced by food that fills but does not nourish. In the traditional kitchens of southern Italy or rural Greece, greens are not treated as background. They are honored, cooked slowly with garlic, softened with olive oil, brightened with lemon. This combination doesn't just taste better, it makes the nutrients more available to the body. Oil helps absorb fat-soluble vitamins like K and A, which support bone health and tissue healing. Lemon, rich in vitamin C, enhances the absorption of iron. And garlic? It brings not only flavor but anti-inflammatory support for joints and the immune system. You don't need to make it complicated. A pan, a handful of greens, a bit of thyme, that's all. Over the course of a week, 4 small servings can begin to shift things internally. Not with drama, but with consistency. You may begin to notice your hands feeling steadier, your knees aching less after rest. Even your sleep may deepen, because magnesium calms the nervous system and supports the release of melatonin. Muscles don't simply disappear with age. They vanish when we forget to feed them the way they deserve. And sometimes, it's not more that we need. It's different, more thoughtful, more rooted. The leaves you once picked from your garden or saw on your grandmother's table may have been doing more than filling a plate. They were tuning your body like an instrument, helping each part find its rhythm again. Strength isn't always about lifting or pushing. Sometimes it's about absorbing what life offers and responding with resilience. And in that quiet exchange between the earth and your body, spinach still has something to say. We don't live long by accident. We live long by repetition. That simple truth whispered by Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara, who cared for patients well past his own 100th birthday, carries more than advice. It carries a memory of how the body thrives not through extremes but through rhythm, through the quiet returning to what nourishes. Through acts so small they almost go unnoticed, until one day you find yourself walking with less pain, breathing with more ease, rising from bed without the weight of exhaustion pressing down. Modern life has tried to turn food into a puzzle. Complex diets, lists of forbidden ingredients, magical trends that change with the seasons. But for those who have lived enough to know better, the question is no longer, what is trendy? It is, what supports me? What keeps my legs steady when I step into the day? What keeps my mind clear enough to remember the name of a friend? What keeps my hands strong enough to cook for myself, to brush my hair, to hold a grandchild? The answer is rarely found in novelty. More often it's found in what the earth has always given, and what tradition has always kept close. Foods that don't need advertisements. Foods that don't come in shiny packages. lentils rich with quiet strength, seeds full of minerals the body begs for, oats warming and steady, greens dark as the soil that grew them, restoring what age gently takes away. In the world's longest-lived communities, the blue zones, there is no talk of dieting. There is no obsession with nutrients, but there is repetition. Elders in Okinawa, in Sardinia, in Costa Rica, they eat the same foundational ingredients over and over for decades, not out of habit, out of trust, out of respect for the foods that have always done their job. Beans simmered with herbs, greens softened in broth, seeds crushed by hand. A plate that nourishes, not just feeds. Too many people today eat in fear. Fear of illness, fear of weight, fear of the next restriction. But food can be a return to calm, a return to what is natural, not just in flavor, but in purpose. You don't need to understand every chemical reaction in your body to feel the change that comes when you eat with care, when your blood sugar no longer crashes at midday, when your legs don't tremble as much when you stand, when your stomach no longer feels like a stranger. These are not small victories. These are signs of life choosing to stay. Aging brings changes, some inevitable, some unexpected. But it also brings an invitation to come back to what matters, to the warmth of cooked grains, to the silence of greens being washed in a sink, to the strength that comes not from a machine or a pill, but from a meal prepared with intention. Not fancy, not perfect, just real. There is still time. There is always time. Time to add, not subtract. To include, not avoid. To feed your strength instead of fearing your decline. What if your strength at 80, your balance, your grip, your ability to rise from a chair without help, was being decided now in the quiet choices of this week? Not everything must change. You don't need to leave behind what you know. You just need to make space for what supports you. Even just one food, one seed, one serving of greens. Not because someone told you to, but because you began to feel the difference. Strength may fade, but it can also return. And often it returns from the same place it was first built. A warm kitchen, a quiet plate, a body being listened to at last. That is where health begins. Not with rules, with rhythm. Not with urgency, with consistency. You are not late. You are right on time. Before you leave, pause for just one more moment. There's something waiting in the pinned comment. Something small, but meaningful. If today's words stirred something in you, if you felt seen or remembered something your body has been trying to tell you, then you might find a quiet answer there. Don't rush, but when you're ready, take a look. It's there for you.